Hey there! Welcome back to my Unity tutorial channel. Today, we're going to embark on an exciting journey into the world of 2D platformer games using Unity. I'll be your guide as we dive into creating a simple yet fun platformer from scratch. So, let's jump right in. Creating a 2D platformer involves a few key elements, such as a character movement, collisions, and basic gameplay mechanics. We'll cover each of these topics step by step, making sure to explain everything clearly along the way. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge to create your own awesome 2D platformer game. First things first, let's set up our project in Unity. Create a new 2D project and import any required assets, like sprites for the player character and platforms. Launch Unity software on your computer would be step 1 as usual. Now create a new project. Click on New to create a new project. Select 2D as a template for a 2D platformer game. Give your project a suitable name and choose a location to save it on your computer. Select the folder where you want to store your project files. To import the necessary assets for your game, locate the assets you want to use, such as sprites for the player character and platforms. These assets can be images or graphic files in formats like PNG or JPEG. In the Unity project window, navigate to the folder where you want to import the assets. Simply drag the assets file from your computer's file explorer or desktop and drop them into Unity projects window. Alternatively, you can right-click in the project window and choose Import New Asset to browse and select the asset files. If you have no sprites or graphics on your computer, you can simply go to Unity Asset Store online and download some. Once the assets are imported, you will see them appear in the project window. Unity will automatically process the assets and make them available for use in your project. Alright, it's time to get creative and set up our game scene. Grab your sprites because in this step, we're going to spend as much time as we want designing our level. I'll be using assets from the asset store to bring my vision to life. Remember, this is your chance to let your imagination run wild. So take your time and do not forget to save your scene as you go along. The heart of any platformer game is the character movement. We'll start by creating a player controller script. Inside this script, we'll handle input from the player and apply forces to move the character left, right, and make them jump. We'll also ensure the character respects gravity to simulate a realistic feel. Select the player character game object in the Unity hierarchy. In the inspector window, click on the Add Component button and type Player Controller. This is going to be the name of our new script, and you can open it in your preferred code editor. Mine is Rider. We declare two public variables, move force and jump force. These variables can be modified in the Unity editor and control the movement and jumping forces for the character. We declare a private variable RB of type RigidBody2D. This variable will hold a reference to the RigidBody2D component attached to the player character. In the start method, we initialize the RB variable by getting the RigidBody2D component from the same game object this script is attached to. In the update method, which is called every frame, we handle the character movement and jumping. We retrieve the horizontal input axis value using input.getAxisHorizontal. This will return a value between -1 and 1, indicating the player's input for moving left or right. We multiply the horizontal input value by the moveForce variable and by vector2.right to determine the force to apply for movement. This allows us to move the character horizontally in the positive or negative x direction. We use the RB_add_force method to apply the movement force to the character's rigid body 2D component. This will make the character move left or right based on the player's input. We check if the jump button is pressed using input.getButtonDown_jump. If the jump button is pressed, we apply a vertical force, vector2.up multiply jump force, to the character's rigid body 2D component using RB.addForce. The force mode 2D.impulse ensures that the force is applied instantly and results in a jump effect. Save the script and return to the Unity editor. Give rigid body 2D to our player, and then we can hit play. As you can see, it's falling down because of the gravity that we are having here and the ground that has no rigid body or anything at the moment. But for now, let's just change that to 0 and then check if the moveForce is working. As you can see, it is working. It's going back. It's not going up. You can work with the numbers until you achieve your desired outcome, but for now, and then a tiny jump, it's going up in the sky because we don't have gravity, and gravity is currently 0, but we will change that and we will work on that. Perfect. Now it's time to talk about collisions and platforms. If you haven't watched the last video, go and watch it. It's about colliders and rigid bodies and everything about that. Now it's time that we set up the colliders. Colliders are basically components in Unity that define the shape and boundaries of objects for collision detection. We'll use colliders to detect when the player's character touches or stands on platforms. So first, make sure that the platform in your game have colliders attached to them. This can be achieved by adding either a box collider 2D or a polygon collider 2D component to the platform game objects. These colliders define the shape of the platform. The player's character also needs a collider attached to it. Similar to the platforms, you can add a box collider 2D or a polygon collider 2D component to the character. This collider defines the shape of the character for collision detection. To handle collision in your script, you can use the onCollisionEnter2D or onTriggerEnter2D method. These methods are called when a collision or trigger event occurs. You can write code inside these methods to perform actions when the character collides with a platform or enters a trigger area. By detecting collisions or triggers between the character and the platforms, you can ensure that the character can only move on solid ground. This prevents the character from falling through the platforms. Now, let's update our code. In this updated code, we add a Boolean variable is on ground to track whether the character is on the ground or not. Inside the update method, we add a condition to check if the player is on the ground before allowing them to jump. This prevents them from jumping while in midair. We implement the onCollisionEnter2D method, which is called when the character collides with another object. We check if the collision is with a platform using the compareTag method and set the isOnGround variable to true when the character lands on a platform. we implement the onCollisionExit2D method, which is called when the character stops colliding with an object. We check if the collision was with a platform and set the isOnGround variable to false when the character leaves the platform. These collision-related additions to the code allow the character to detect when they are on the ground or in contact with a platform. This ensures that the character can only jump when they are on a platform, preventing them from jumping while in mid-air. Remember to adjust the compare tag value in the collision methods to match the tag you assign to your platform game objects in the Unity editor. With these updates, you have the basic collision handling implemented for your character movement in a 2D platformer game in Unity. Congratulations, game developers! You've just created a simple 2D platformer game using Unity. We covered character movement, collision, but remember, this is just the beginning. There are countless possibilities to explore and expand upon in your own platformer games. Keep experimenting, keep learning, and most importantly, have fun! This was the first episode of creating a 2D runner game. In the next episode, we are going to dive into implementing gameplay mechanics to take our game to the next level. Join us in the next video as we inject excitement and challenges into our platformer game. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay awesome, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!